Maniacs, welcome back to the channel. This case has been, and to sum it up really quickly, very interesting. There's a lot here, obviously, I did not know. I've been trying to get more of Chris Watts' side of things and trying to figure out what his deal was about and everything like that. But basically, it just sums up, it just comes down to that he was just a complete psychopath who wanted a fresh start, so he did what he did. But I'm really hoping here soon I can start diving more into the Nichole Kessinger stuff. Again, someone who is just coming into this and on the outside of things. I didn't really know much about this. I started doing these reactions after I watched the House Could Be Haunted video, the paranormal side of things. And I did ask the community, out of all the killers, I posted a poll and I gave a list of some killers. I put John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ed Gein, and Ted Bundy. And you guys really want to see me dive more into Jeffrey Dahmer. I can see why. He's, one of the more popular kind of subjects when it comes to the true crime kind of field. And I will be doing more videos on him for sure, so hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. I will continue to do this stuff as long as you guys want me to. I don't have to, keep going if you don't want me to. If you guys want me to stop, I understand. But this is very fascinating stuff. Hard to get through, but very fascinating stuff. And again, I will be pausing it when I'm wanting to talk, so don't worry about not hearing me too well. I will be pausing it, so yeah, just keep that in mind. A family man. Oh my gosh, it feels like I'm watching a horror film. Seriously, it's just like the opening credits, like a really early 2000s horror film.
Police in Colorado say they have found two bodies they believe are the daughters of Christopher and Shanann Watts. Christopher Watts reportedly confessed Thursday to killing his pregnant wife and two daughters. Watts appeared in...
Wait. I'll go back to that really quick. Sorry about this.
Colorado say they have found two bodies they believe are the daughters of Christopher and Shanann Watts.
Okay, so she said daughters. I was sitting here thinking that they found Christopher Watts' body and Shanann's body? That made no sense, but
Christopher
okay.
Watts
Yeah.
reportedly confessed Thursday to killing his pregnant wife and two daughters. Watts appeared in court hours after police...
Well, I don't think he confessed to killing the daughters. I think he just confessed to killing his wife, right? Yeah. So it looks like CBS kind of got a couple things wrong.
Police found his wife's body at an oil field where he works. Police said the other two bodies were found nearby. Watts could face up to 3 counts of first-degree murder.
Chris Watts had little to say in a Colorado courtroom this afternoon. Wednesday night, the body of his pregnant wife, Shanann, was discovered on the property of one of his work sites.
It's like a nightmare that I just can't wake up from.
He allegedly confessed to killing Shanann and their two daughters, 3-year-old Celeste and 4-year-old Bella, after he told reporters he had no idea where they were and begged for their safe return.
You see, this is why it's hard to believe him. This is why I can't take whatever he says to heart. Because he was telling everybody he had no idea where they were. He's a liar. I mean, that already goes to show he's a liar. Why would it be crazy to know that he lied about killing his kids, too? It's, you know what I mean? He could easily lie about those kind of things.
I have no inclination of where she is. If somebody has her, just please bring her back.
Shanann was last seen by a
Sick
colleague
fuck.
who dropped her off from a work trip at 2 a.m. Monday. Asked by a reporter if the couple had been fighting, Watts responded,
It wasn't like an argument. We had an emotional conversation, but I'll leave it at that. But I just want them back.
family.
It's so disturbing. Just to hear him laughing about it and smiling about it. I can't get over that. I can't.
Friends and the entire Frederick, Colorado police force searched around the clock. 34-year-old Shanann posted frequently about her family on Facebook. In May, she wrote, "I love this man. He's my rock." In another post, she reveals to her daughters that she is having another baby.
She's facing possibly 3 murder charges and 3 tampering with evidence being
Said
the
Watts was having an affair with a coworker and was unexcited to learn his wife was pregnant again.
So when you want to see what happens?
In his mind, his family had become a hindrance. If that's the case, you get a divorce. You don't annihilate your whole family.
Prosecutor Mike Rourke told me that he expects Watts to serve his time outside the state of Colorado for his own safety. But Rourke also told me this kind of notoriety will follow Watts wherever he goes.
Christopher Watts was sentenced yesterday. He will serve 3 life terms plus
84
years for tampering with evidence and murdering his wife, Cheyenne, his daughters Bella and Celeste, and his unborn son, Nico.
Calculated and cold-blooded, these killings seem to jar everyone that they touched. Even the judge called it as vicious and inhumane as any case he has ever handled.
It's so true, though. People are, like, trying to defend him. And I just personally can't see and understand why you would want to defend him. I mean, this guy, again, he could have gotten a divorce. And you can make the argument, well, she was really pushing for them to stay together. Okay, it would have taken some time, but he would have gotten a divorce. It would have been settled. He would have moved on his merry way and whatever, did whatever he wanted to do with Nichole Kessinger or whatever. And yeah, the idea that he was tampering with evidence is, yes, very shady. I mean, for all we know, they could have been talking about killing his daughters. For all we know. But yeah, this guy, obviously, he had some things on his phone he certainly did not want anybody to know. Maybe involving Nichole Kessinger. I mean, I'm sure there are theories out there that, I think it's positive. I'm pretty fucking confident that there are theories that Nichole Kessinger might have had something to do with the 2 children. And maybe because he could not bring himself to do it, maybe he asked her to help. I don't know. Of course, these are just theories. I'm not trying to say this is exactly what happened. But it seems like in the community, we always come up with ideas and try to figure out possible ways these people could have gone about and done what they've done. Especially where people feel like this guy truly loved his children. Maybe he just couldn't bring himself to do it, but he really wanted to be with Nichole. So he asked Nichole to do it. And Nichole herself was also tampering with evidence and hiding evidence and making sure that, the police did not get her phone and shit like that, never wanting them not to get her phone and things along those lines. So, yeah, it's not that crazy to think that Nichole Kessinger obviously could have had a giant part to do in, the murder of the children. And even knowing, let's say, for example, this is what happened. Let's say Chris Watts actually asked Nichole to kill his kids. He's just as guilty. Hell, he might as well have done it himself. Because he actually told her to do something like that. He actually had the mindset to kill his kids. He might as well have almost done it himself. You could sit here and say, I don't think he would have done it. You love those babies. Well, clearly he didn't love them enough if he's having some random woman that he's been talking to for a few months go and murder his own children. Clearly he didn't love them that much. I cannot mentally fucking picture myself ever even bringing that thought into my mind. That's just my 2 cents on the matter. If you want to know what I think about Nichole Kessinger being involved, obviously Chris Watts would have had to have known that she was involved. Obviously, he would have had to have asked her to help with certain things.
And it was a dark side of Christopher Watts that seemed to come out of nowhere.
And it was a dark side of Christopher Watts that seemed to come out of nowhere.
Is Chris Watts just a typical family annihilator? 90% of family annihilators are males between the ages of 30 and 40 years old with no criminal record. They are perceived by neighbors, friends, and family to be dedicated fathers and loyal husbands. People who have studied these types of killers have divided them into 4 categories. Self-righteous killers, where the father blames the mother for relationship issues.
Yep, and then automatically he went straight to pointing out Shanann as the one who killed the kids, and so he acted on that. So he automatically, okay, that makes sense, actually. That makes perfect sense. That's why he blamed Shanann for killing the kids. Started pointing the finger at her, even though she was already dead.
His main goal is to cause pain and suffering to their partners, and most likely will use the children in doing so. His killings are always planned out for a very long time, never spontaneous.
That would explain the messages between Nichole Kessinger and Chris. He was planning it for a while, so had to delete the messages.
Killers. He believes he was let down by those around him, mostly his children and spouse. He kills the entire family in order to keep his reputation. anomic killers. He considers his family an extension of his economic success. When the status starts to break down, his family no longer serves this function, and he will kill them all. Paranoid killers. The father believes his family is in danger and needs to be protected. He kills the family in order to protect them from an outside threat. The psychological profile of a family annihilator is very...
So was he, like, afraid they would be hurt if he found out he had a love for Nichole Kessinger? And maybe he chose that killing them would be better than leaving them for another woman? I guess. This is some deep dive. This is some deep diving shit right here.
Very complex. It is very different than the typical profile of serial killers and mass murderers. Does Chris Watts fit this type of killer?
Kind of,
In
yeah.
my opinion, from what I've learned so far, he does. But many people disagree. Each person has their own theories to help them better understand what happened in this case. Is Chris Watts a family annihilator, demon-possessed, or something else? In this video, we are going to explore the dark things surrounding the Chris Watts case.
All right. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm not sure how loud this video is, but my microphone was a little bit far away from my face.
I understand this is a topic not everyone is interested in. If this makes you uncomfortable or scared, please do not continue watching.
I'm good.
I also want to say that what I will be discussing in this video does not reflect my views or beliefs. I actually had no knowledge of any of these things without doing a lot of research first.
This counts as my research, actually. Like, I know, you know, some people are probably gonna be like, you know, you shouldn't talk about what you don't understand, and this is how I will get to understand, is doing research, hearing other people's opinions, talking about the subject.
We know there were some strange things about Chris Watts and his mistress NK's relationship. Although there is speculation that they knew each other longer, the evidence shows they were only in a relationship for about 6 weeks. How could they have fallen so deeply in love in such a short amount of time?
Crazy that somebody you've been with for 8 years is already kind of a lesser to somebody you've only been, like, really getting to know for 6 weeks. Pretty f***ing nuts.
We know NK was into crystals. She collected them, and according to Chris, she never left home without them. Crystals aren't necessarily evil. They can be used for healing and to ease stress. However, some believe crystals can possess magical powers and can harness the power of nature. They use crystals to manifest the things in life they desire. It has been said that a person doesn't need any special skills or talent. You simply need to understand which crystals to use and follow the right process to manifest what you want. Did NK, being a geologist and collecting crystals, have this knowledge?
I didn't even know she was one of those. That's interesting. Wow.
Did she use her crystals to perform some kind of a magical ritual? Possibly to make Chris turn away from his wife and fall deeply in love with her? We know she also loved wildflowers, particularly sunflowers. Sunflowers have a long history with spells and witchcraft. The sunflower is considered a flower of loyalty because day after day it follows the sun. It is also often associated with fertility. In order to bring about conception, people will eat sunflower seeds or take a ritual bath with sunflower petals.
Okay.
Chris talks about NK giving him a drink every night when he stayed at her apartment. He said she called it a spiritual cleansing drink and it tasted like a tea. He never questioned what was in it, but noticed she never drank it. It was only given to him. Flower petals are...
What the fuck? Oh, there's more to this individual than I thought. Not Chris Watts, Nichole Kessinger. I am kind of shocked to hear all this stuff. Not saying this had like any sort of influence on what happened, but like I don't know. It's certainly something to point out, though, I guess. Wow. Okay.
Herbs and many other ingredients can be used to make a spiritual awakening cleanse. This is used as a way to cleanse negative energy or emotions around you. It can be used to open a person's third eye. It is associated with wisdom and intuition and is located in the pineal gland, which philosophers believe is the seat of the soul. It is opened in order to help someone identify underlying patterns in their life and make sense of their own potential. You can see how something like this could be dangerous for someone like Chris Watts, who doesn't ever express his feelings or emotions and had resisted them his whole life. He most likely was experiencing a very stressful,
I think I can hear your kids or people in the background.
Emotional time given his circumstances. During the opening of the third eye, a person can experience what is called a Kundalini awakening. This awakening can be performed in many different ways and methods, but yoga is one of the main causes that can trigger a Kundalini awakening. NK owned a yoga studio called Satya. Satya means truth, but in Latin it means Satan.
We went from murder, affair, to the possibilities of, like, devil worship with the snap of a finger. There's more to this story than meets the eye. Oh my god. Like, this is really deep diving. This is really, like trying to sniff through the debris right here. I'm not really sure what to think of this stuff. But why? Like, because she liked him? That's why she decided to pull all of this shit off? Obviously, the person said that everything that she's about to say has nothing to do with her own personal beliefs on what happened. But this is certainly some interesting stuff to just throw out there. I gotta admit, I was never expecting this to actually be like... I just thought we were gonna learn more about, just the text messages and shit, not like actual deep diving into every detail behind somebody. This is crazy.
3 days after Chris's confession, NK closed her secret business. Chris said NK had a friend that she was in business with that taught her how to do an awakening procedure. If this procedure isn't done correctly or the person is unaware or not prepared, it can be very dangerous. It can feel like a psychotic break with reality. It should only be practiced under the guidance of a trusted and knowledgeable teacher. The sudden shift in perception can be extremely overwhelming if the person is not prepared. This process should never be rushed. There are a wide range of side effects, vivid dreams and nightmares. We know Chris mentions having reoccurring dreams before the murders. Scary, accurate...
I did not know this stuff. This stuff I did not know. I did not know he was having recurring dreams. Okay, it does mix in kind of with this stuff.
Intuition.
Crazy voodoo
Chris
shit.
says many times in his letters, I didn't want to kill my family, but I knew it was going to happen. Becoming fearless.
So he actually did admit to killing his entire family. I didn't want to kill my family, but it was bound to happen or something like that. That's okay.
Chris said he could have killed anyone in front of him that day and felt justified for doing it. Astral projection, which means it feels like a part of you leaves your body and travels elsewhere. Chris has said he felt like someone else was holding his hands around Shanann's neck and he didn't understand why he couldn't just let go. Last, chaotic and erratic behavior. Did NK perform this procedure on Chris Watts? Or could Chris have experienced it spontaneously due to some changes that were going on in his life at the time?
Jeez Louise. This is really a rabbit hole. I mean, of course, this is all theorizing and shit, just based on, her own personal life, but... I mean, I guess it's always a possibility she could have been into this kind of shit. I don't know her. I don't know if this is the kind... She does already come off like a sketchy kind of weird person anyways. It certainly adds a different layer to the whole situation. I mean, obviously the people, who are in charge, like the police department and stuff, the law are not going to think about this kind of stuff. I mean, they'll just look at it as, child's play, silly nonsense and whatnot. Is it really all that crazy to think that maybe something could have had an effect here? I mean, I guess it's not out of the entire question. I guess not. I mean, it's not where I would go with this story. I just think the guy wanted a fresh start at his life, so he decided to do what he did. But this is certainly interesting when it comes to like a deep dive psychological, probably analyzing Nichole Kessinger. This is pretty fascinating shit, I gotta be honest. At all.
Some magical rituals are performed under the light of a new moon. Every new moon brings with it a fresh start, so a ritual done under a new moon will harness energy to ensure intentions will manifest. It is good for bringing in a new love. A new moon is hidden under a shadow, and spellcasters will do spells for something hidden. On Saturday, August 11th, 2018, a little more than 24 hours before the murders, there was a new moon. On the same day, there was also a partial solar eclipse. A new moon spell with a partial eclipse would bring in a fast-moving relationship and a swift transformation. Something that would normally take a long time to manifest would happen unnaturally fast. Could this explain why a man would kill his entire family to be with a mistress he only dated for about 6 weeks?
Oh, no. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, this is all fascinating stuff, but it's not all that crazy either. It's seriously not. I mean, there are people in this world who would absolutely leave their wife for a different piece of ass. I guarantee you that now. So it's not the craziest thing that he wanted to have an affair with his wife, especially if he was just getting tired of the relationship. For all we know, that person, maybe, Nichole Kessinger in his eyes was the person that he really wanted in his life. And there's a part of me that kind of believes that he did, and that might be one of the reasons why he wanted a fresh start. He wanted to kill his family and not hurt them at the same time. So, and maybe he deleted all that evidence so he could hide Nichole Kessinger, or at least protect her from the law. There's just a lot of possibilities here. There really is a lot of possibilities. I don't necessarily believe that it had anything to do with witchcraft or Satanism or satanic worshiping, or just doing these rituals. I just don't know what you would actually call these things. I'm not trying to be insulting to anybody who maybe practicing this stuff. It's just now if you are practicing this stuff, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you guys think personally. I'm very fascinated to know what you think. But
in Discovery, we see that Chris Watts Googled the Paracutin volcano on Sunday, August 12th, just hours before the murders. This volcano is one of the 7 natural wonders of the world. It grew unnaturally fast from a farmer's field in Mexico. Its sudden appearance shocked the townspeople there. The farmland became a mountain with lava bowling out of it. It destroyed 5 nearby towns. No one was killed by the lava when the Paracutin volcano erupted, but 3 people were killed by the lightning that was generated by the volcanic rock. Spellcasters worship this volcano like a god in order to tap into its power. When Shanann was in Arizona, her flight was canceled because of a storm. The electrical power went out at the restaurant where Shanann and her friends were having dinner. She texted Chris and unknowingly listed the 4 natural elements. She said there is a really bad dust storm, rain, thunder, and lightning. Dust equals earth, storm equals air, lightning equals fire, and rain equals water. Sunday evening, again hours before the murders, Chris Watts Googled the Dead Sea Scrolls. These passages have been known to contain magic that can ward off evil influences and bring good luck.
Holy shit, it's still going! Dead Sea Scrolls, the volcano, I don't even know what to really say. I'm actually kind of speechless. Like, I just don't have the words to express what I'm really thinking at this moment.
Offer protection for someone who may be in danger. Did NK have the knowledge to access the Earth's rocks and minerals and use it to harness power from the Paracutan volcano? Her magic spell to ensure her intention would manifest could have overpowered the warnings and protection angels sent to save this family. Because Chris Watts, in the end, became like a fiery volcano, unleashing rage that he had never felt before.
I do personally think that it's really connect everything. Like his rage was like the volcano, and he couldn't control it, like a rage he never had before. I mean, it's very much connecting. It's not hard to do, to connect like elements with people's emotions. It's just not. So I mean, I'm not at the end of the day just gonna buy all of this stuff. It is a fascinating thing for sure, and there's a lot of connections here, things I didn't know he looked up, and certainly things that she was into that I just didn't know she was into. And yeah, certainly a conversation starter. Yeah. Sorry, I wish I knew what else to say, but I just don't know what to say. We're gonna go ahead and dive into part 2 of darker things surrounding the Chris Watts case. Part 1 kind of gave me an understanding of the person Nichole Kessinger is and the things that she was into, and maybe they had some more darker kind of influence on Chris Watts. I guess it could be a possibility. I'm not saying it is. I truly believe the guy was just simply and plainly a just psychopath who just did not want to be a part of that family anymore, so he chose to do what he did. There's some interesting facts that were dropped in that first part 1. More involving that kind of side of things and not the very much spiritual kind of influence on from rituals aspect, which seriously, I did not expect this stuff to end up here. I'm kind of mind blown right now. I gotta appreciate this stuff. This is some serious, like, research. Yeah, crystal spells. NK loved sunflowers. You see, there's a part of me that you're connecting so much here that, I mean, you could do that to anybody. My sister loves sunflowers. Does that mean she's into this stuff? No, it doesn't mean that she's into this stuff. Yeah, like, but I'm also an open-minded person too, so I'm trying to understand, and I think she's doing a good job at explaining this stuff to me to where I can understand where she's coming from when she does explain this stuff. Because yeah, in a sense, it kind of does make sense, which is the bizarre part. Did it really have anything to do with magic passages, spiritual influence, or ritualistic influence? I don't know. I can't give you that answer like 100%. But to point it out is not a bad thing. You see, people, and again, like Chris Watts became like a volcano and blew. It's kind of like, I automatically think of Inside Out, right? Anger. He has like that top where he blows a fuse like a volcano, and his like lava comes out of his hand, or like fire comes out of his head. I mean, that could be represented with anger for sure. It's not something I automatically associate with nature and shit, you know.
Oil has become the world's most important source of energy since the 1950s. It supplies energy to power industries, heats homes, provides fuel for vehicles and airplanes to carry goods and people all over the world. Its net income in 2018 totaled $28 billion, producing 12 million barrels of oil per day. Some of the most powerful people in the world have ties to the oil industry. Chris Watts worked for an oil company called Anadarko. The oil industry has been called bad or evil many times, so it wasn't too surprising to find evil symbolism in the company Chris Watts.
And that's a lot right here. There's a lot of symbolism here, like pointing out every small detail and everything.
Watts worked for. When you Google Anadarko, you will see that the company produces 666,000 barrels of oil per day. In the discovery, you can find the GPS coordinates of Survey 319, where Chris Watts disposed of the bodies of his family. You will see again the number 666.
$104.36667. I know what the 666 means. You don't have to explain to me.
Apocalypse Season 8 of American Horror Story is about a cult terrorizing the residents in the aftermath of the 2016 U.S. presidential election. It features the return of the witches from Covens as they battle the Antichrist from Murder House in an attempt to prevent the apocalypse. While reviewing the CCTV footage at a neighbor's house, a short video plays. It's a preview for an upcoming season of American Horror Story. This video is very creepy and somehow seems to predict what no one knew at the time. I have slowed the video down and added text to try to help explain what's happening. Let's watch.
Let me guess. This is going to represent his unborn kid. Similar to the masks worn to recover the bodies from the oil tanks. I apologize, guys. I'm not trying not to say nothing. I gotta think about this stuff, so please don't. Hopefully you're not too bored. I see that, yeah. Yeah, Sting's the white one, so evil one in this situation is what she's hinting at, yep. Broken pieces shattered. Which is, yeah. How many ads is this for the show? How many is this? Just one giant ad for American Horror Story Apocalypse? Holy smokes.
Let's look at American Horror Story and how it may relate to the Watts case. It airs on the cable network FX, and some plot elements of each season are loosely inspired by true events. American Horror Story frequently turns fact into fiction, incorporating real-life serial killers into their show. If that's not strange enough, some of the names of people who worked on the Watts case actually match the names of real-life serial killers. Deputy Katie Talk. She worked with the K-9 unit in Colorado. Talk was also a serial killer from Ukraine who killed 37 women.
This is some next level, like actually doing your research. I'm honestly impressed by the amount of research this person's done. Far-fetching to associate this with American Horror Story. A little bit, I won't lie. I get where she was going for, though, with the symbolism, the end of the world apocalypse, murder. I get it. Yes, it's all bad stuff, but that might be stretching it a little bit. I don't truly think that American Horror Story was any sort of supposed to symbolize what was going on. It was just a popular show at the time. It's not as popular today as it was back then.
Officer Ted Bundy. He was
Ted
one
Bundy.
of the hazmat troopers in Colorado who helped with the recovery of the girls from the tank.
But if you take the A and switch it with a U, it's Bundy.
And of course we know Ted Bundy, the famous serial killer who confessed to committing 30 homicides. Shanann Watts worked for a company called Lavelle. The owner of Lavelle is a guy named Jason Camper. Like in the movie Friday the 13th, where Jason Voorhees drowns at Camp Crystal Lake.
This is a bit far-fetching. I'm sorry. This is not any of this. Just because the guy had a name Jason, that doesn't... Jason's not even a real killer. He's just a made-up one.
Then comes back to haunt and kill the campers there. This is all very strange, given the fact that Netflix released a documentary called American Murderer, The Family Next Door. Let's hope that American Horror Story doesn't plan on making a season of their show based on the Watts case. This is where we will get into more conspiracy theory type stuff. What if I told you Anadarko, the company Chris worked for, FX, the network that airs American Horror Story, and Vivint, the company of the security system the Watts used, could all be linked together through one man, the owner of Blackstone. He is one of the top 75 most powerful people in the world.
I mean, I feel like we've been kind of in the conspiracy theory stuff for at least 10 minutes now. I mean, honestly. And I'm not trying to be a dick. I truly believe that this is some insane, like, going down a rabbit hole research for sure. But just because the guy had a name Jason, that doesn't, you know, automatically associate, yeah.
He owns part of Anadarko. He also owns part of the FX network. And he owns stakes in the Vivint company. He is a member of Skull and Bones, a secret society found in 1832. It is the most powerful of all secret societies, along with the Illuminati, which are the most whispered about underground clubs in the world.
Skull equals school. Crossbones equals
This
sacrifice.
is suspicious because there was hardly any investigating done in this case. There were a lot of things kept hidden from the public. There were interviews and evidence that we haven't seen, and a lot of information was redacted from their discovery files. Why was everything shut down so quickly? Is there something going on that the public can't know about? A conspiracy theory is an explanation for an event or situation that invokes a conspiracy by sinister or powerful groups, often political in motivation. Conspiracy theorists.
And I'm not trying to bash or anything, but this is really going down a rabbit hole. Like, we go from a very complex yet simple story about a guy just being a psychopath to now, like, talking about the Illuminati, witchcraft, American Horror Story, a guy named Jason. There was Jason in Friday the 13th. I mean, this is a really big rabbit hole. I just don't know how to wrap my head around it. And I'm not really one for conspiracy theories, if I had to be honest with you. Like, I'm okay with talking about theories, and yeah, sometimes conspiracy theories, but I really don't deep dive into conspiracy theories because I think it's kind of confusing in a sense, because I'm just really trying to get down to the facts of the situation. And that's something I look for, is just a lot of facts. I mean, I'm open to talk about ideas for sure, but this is really, yeah, just next level.
We'll look for similar characteristics and patterns and claim events are secretly orchestrated by powerful world-controlling groups and the Illuminati. Some people believe the government is poisoning people from the sky with chemicals. A sinkhole opened up in Louisiana. UFO sightings all over the world. And the Joplin tornado in 2011 was actually created by the government. And of course, people have their suspicions about the Watts case. People believe the Watts murders were a hoax. Putting the girls in oil would make the bodies flammable and the caskets would have to be sealed. This made people believe no one was in the caskets. Sandy only identified the girls over the phone, and the family never actually saw the bodies. All of the caskets were closed at the funeral, which made people believe the whole event was just all fake news. There's a YouTube channel called Think for Yourself. If you would like to know more about conspiracy theories, she does a really good job.
I probably won't. I mean, I probably won't dive into it because, again, conspiracy theories are fine, and there are some that are very fascinating, but not something that's my cup of coffee, straight up.
It's Megan J, and she goes a lot deeper into the conspiracy theories and has a lot of good information. I'll link her channel in the description. Chris Watts, Revelation in the Reckoning. Have you ever wondered why she named her channel that? Why not something simple like Chris Watts is innocent, or advocating for Chris Watts? While researching the dark things in this case, it eventually led me to strange things about the meaning of Revelation in the Reckoning. The word apocalypse actually means revelation, which means that which is uncovered, and was also the name of season 8 of American Horror Story.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to... I really feel bad because I'm not... This is someone's hard work coming onto screen, and I appreciate every bit of it. I really do. This is not me trying to be a dickhead. I'm really not. But I can't... I have a hard time taking it seriously when I'm hearing American Horror Story. American Horror Story is a great show. I literally watched all the way up to Freak Show. But I will probably never associate it with somebody who really took the life of his family, ever. I mean, we just live in a world full of psychos. We live in a world full of people who are just evil.
There is also the book of Revelation in the Bible, which Chris Watts can now recite. It's known as the Apocalypse of John. Reckoning It means the action or process of calculating or estimating something, a person's view, opinion, or judgment. There is a book written by John Grisham, a #1 best-selling author, called The Reckoning. It is characterized as a murder mystery, a courtroom drama, a family saga, a coming-of-age story. On the cover, it says, "What turns a good man into a killer?" There is also a show on Netflix called Reckoning. It is about a cop chasing a serial killer. Both the cop and the killer are known in the town to be good family men living in the same small community. Any of this sound familiar?
Yeah.
What about the name Kaufman? This is not her real last name, which means she must have chosen to use it instead. There's a man by the name of Walter Kaufman. He is an American-German philosopher. He was greatly influenced by Frederick, I'm not even going to attempt to say his last name, who was also a philosopher. He is famous for a few quotes. His most memorable quote being, "That which does not kill us only makes us stronger."
Oh!
He also believed there are no facts, only interpretations. He studied the Hegelian dialect.
Again, like, it's... I really don't mean to pause it. It's just when we're really trying to just grasp at straws, which is kind of it. It's like, oh, well, this guy's named after somebody, you know, or like has the same name as a different guy or something like that. It's like you realize there's like many other people with probably that same last name. So, I mean, you could associate it with any one of them, right? People are going to give me shit. People are going to give me shit for this. I do apologize. I really do.
Which refers to argument that aims to successfully dispute another's argument, rather than searching for the truth. It is basically a plan on how to trick people into believing a certain way. First, cause a public outcry where people will say things like, "Say something," or "Something must be done." So then they come up with a solution that controls and fits their agenda. Then people follow along and listen without realizing this person is actually the one who caused the problem to begin with. I think a lot of us have noticed that this seems to be pretty similar to what Kim Kaufman has done on her channel. In an article in the Denver Post, a woman claimed that women at Anadarko were treated as playthings, and if they complained about it, they were punished. 6 other women who worked at Anadarko came forward with similar statements. In a letter to the company, one woman wrote that 2 high-ranking executives had sexual relationships with subordinates. All of this was going on in 2018, just before the Watts murders. A lawyer who is interested in the Watts case recently spoke out, saying that Chris Watts was not the only man at Anadarko that NK was having an affair with. She could have been one of the subordinates having an affair with an executive in the company.
Well, very possible.
The same lawyer also asked...
And that's very interesting. That's very possible because, you know, she's also somebody who was with a guy who was married. So she probably doesn't have a lot of sympathy, doesn't have a lot of regrets going through her mind. She's not somebody who probably feels too guilty too easily. So she's probably able to do all this stuff a lot easier than most people. So, yeah.
Kim Kaufman, if she was related to or knew NK before the murders, which of course she still denies. But he sounded pretty adamant that he knew or had evidence to maybe prove otherwise. I may do another video on this because it's really new information. Maybe Kim really does care about Chris Watts and has good intentions and goals to help him and his family. Or maybe her intentions are malicious and meant to possibly cover something up or help steer things in another direction. a direction that doesn't involve her friend NK or any accomplices. All I can say is let's pay attention and see what happens.
For sure, for sure.
Although it may seem like evil won in this case, I feel like good always triumphs over evil, and in the end the truth will come to light. Matthew 4:22 says, "For whoever is hidden is meant to be disclosed, and whatever is concealed is meant to be brought out in the open. For nothing is hidden except to be revealed, nor has anything been secret, but that it would come to light." Thank you for watching.
Whoa! Okay, that was something. For sure, that's a lot. That's a lot. My mind actually has to process that right now. And I do agree with that. Good always triumphs over evil, for sure, for sure. Oh my gosh, I have to sit up for a second. really getting into that. Oh man. First off and foremost, applaud. You got to give credit where credit's due. That was a very deep dive into just a bunch of stuff right there. Like that, she really put her research in. So I gotta appreciate that at the end of the day. It's not easy coming up with all that research. Obviously, there's some things in there that I just don't necessarily agree with. Obviously, that's going to happen when you watch things like this, the whole American Horror Story and whatnot, and the apocalypse stuff. I kind of threw that stuff to the side. Like, I think anybody can associate the word apocalypse with just doom, evil, and things like that. So that's not really all that crazy to think about. That if a murder took place, and there's probably even more murders in the world happening on the same day. So I mean, if you really wanted to associate apocalypse, you might as well associate it with all the other stuff too. And I know we're just kind of diving into the Chris Watson, Nichole Kessinger stuff at the moment. There's a lot more evil that happened that day than just this case. So I don't automatically just associate it with just that. I mean, evil is associated with just evil acts in general, not just by one individual or what happens with that one family. It is every bit of evil in the world is associated with evil. Now, the Nichole Kessinger stuff, taking away what we learned about Nichole Kessinger and how she was into crystals, she was into ritualistic stuff. I mean, apparently his Google search history showed that he was researching some pretty out there things like the volcanoes, the weather and stuff, all fascinating. I didn't know that. There's some things in there that were kind of thrown in there that really didn't mix with me too well, like the sunflower stuff. Nichole Kessinger loved sunflowers, so that must have meant something with nature. And I'm just sitting here like, well, my sister loves sunflowers too, but that doesn't mean she's associated with the things that, Nichole Kessinger was associated with. So there, again, are some very, very far-fetched things in this, but it is all fascinating in a sense, specifically when it has to do with somebody and what they might like to do in their free time, like her being into rituals and her being into this idea of, having crystals to, like, send away dark threats or evil things. It's all fascinating stuff, like, seriously, and certainly things I would never have associated with this case. So the more you know, the more, right? I mean, that's the more you know at the end of the day. But please, if you have any more information on anything that we talked about in this reaction, leave it in the comments section. Don't be afraid to do so, guys. You guys are killing it with the likes, by the way. You guys are really hitting those thumbs ups, and you guys are really hitting that subscribe button, and I cannot thank you enough. It is very fascinating stuff to dive into this kind of content. So if you want to see more like this, subscribe to the channel, stick around. We'll be diving more into this stuff. So until next time, guys, keep it retro. Do take care.